Good Wednesday morning, everybody, and welcome to KSAT News Now. We are streaming and podcasting daily, coming to you from the KSAT 12 newsroom. David Sears hanging out with us this morning.
I just drugged me from my desk over here so come join you. Yeah. So, you know me, man.
Definitely, yeah. I know. I like how you're just ready to step in, man. Any situation,
whatever it takes.
I like that. So we have a bit of a bro show here today because Justin is also going to be joining us here in just a little bit to see if there's any kind of relief in sight from these hot temperatures.
Yeah, when are we going to not have a 100-degree day? That's the question.
It's blazing out there.
Yes, every day looks like it's 100 and something. Yeah. So we got a lot to get to on that. We got a very busy morning as well. It is the first case of monkeypox in Texas.
Yeah.
They keep telling you don't worry about it, but then they keep finding more cases. Like, okay, when are we supposed to start worrying about it?
Yeah, so we will give you guys the details on that in just a little bit, and some big security changes to a messaging app that is now part of the investigation in Uvalde. And David, that's actually where we are going to start this morning, because this story we've been following throughout the morning here, this congressional hearing about gun violence across the country.
Yeah, first off, we want to talk about another life that was lost at Robb Elementary School being laid to rest today. A funeral for 10-year-old Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez is being held at noon today, so just in about an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. And her obituary says that Annabelle loved the color blue, especially on butterflies, and that she also enjoyed watching TikTok videos and spending time with her sisters. And we know that as these funerals continue there, people are mourning, grieving, and we're learning more about about a lot of these young victims here.
Which is awesome that we get to get a little bit more insight into the life and what they did as youngsters, what they love to do, and we've seen some artists, we've seen some youngsters who love sports, so it's nice to get. What you're looking at now is you're looking at some folks who were there in Washington, D.C. to testify on a gun violence hearing, and several people from Uvalde actually traveled to Washington, D.C. to give their testimony and to kind of go over what happened there in Uvalde and plead with these folks in Congress to do something. Basically, that's the phrase everybody uses, do something, get something done. We don't want our child's death to be in vain. And it was some emotional stuff this morning. Very
emotional. One of the people there that talked to Congress in a previously taped video was 11-year-old Mia Cerillo. She talked about her experience there, just a horrifying experience where she said that she had to cover herself in blood, to try and hide from this shooter. And her dad actually came out to the witness table in a brief call for gun control as well. And we also heard from the parents of another victim.
Yeah, Lexi was there, but they decided it would be better for her to just do her testimony on tape rather than have her come into that big room with all the Congress people in there. But once again, her father did come out, and he had a few words, and tears were just rolling down his cheeks. And then of course Lexi's parents, Felix and Kimberly Rubio, testified. They did it via video, and I don't know how these parents do this. I don't know how they can go back and relive it. And the only thing that you can come up with is they want to make sure that this subject stays in the forefront. They want to make sure that something gets done now before it cools off. Because you've seen some of these things happen in the past. And it seems like people sort of like push it aside and start worrying about everything else, and they want it in the forefront. And if people just watch this testimony that we heard this morning, well, it's going to affect you.
Yeah, we have it for you, so let's go ahead and take a listen.
But what I did find was something no prayer will ever relieve. 2 children whose bodies had been pulverized by bullets fired at them, decapitated, whose flesh had been ripped apart, that the only clue as their identities was a blood-splattered cartoon clothes still clinging to them, clinging for life and finding none.
We went to go hide behind my teacher's desk and shot my teacher and told my teacher goodnight and shot her in the head. And then he shot some of my classmates.
I come because I could have lost my baby girl. She is not the same little girl that I used to play with, hang around with, and do everything, because she was daddy's little girl.
You've all seen glimpses of who Lexi was, but I also want to tell you a little bit about who she would have been. If given the opportunity, Lexi would have made a positive change in this world. So today, we stand for Lexi, And as her voice, we demand action. We seek a ban on assault rifles and high-capacity magazines. We understand that for some reason, to some people, to people with money, to people who fund political campaigns, that guns are more important than children.
I chose to be a pediatrician. I chose to take care of children. Keeping them safe from preventable diseases, I can do. Keeping them safe from bacterial and brittle bones, I can do. But making sure our children are safe from guns, that's the job of our politicians and leaders.
Somewhere out there, there's a mom listening to our testimony, thinking, I can't even imagine their pain, not knowing that our reality will one day be hers, unless we act now.
And just some heartbreaking stuff there, David.
Yeah, there's a couple other people there. They're testifying who have lost loved ones in gun violence, and you just hope that the senators who are on this committee, who are trying to come up with some solutions to gun violence, who are getting together, actually see some of this testimony, and hopefully they'll be inspired to get something done and get it done as soon as possible, get it done sooner or later, because I know there's this committee of made up of senators from both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, who have come together. But maybe if they see that a little bit more urgency to get something done.
Yeah, some devastating testimony there. Our Lee Waldman is in Washington, D.C. covering this, so she will have more information as we continue with our coverage of these hearings in Washington, D.C. that involve, some of the victims here in Uvalde. And speaking of Uvalde, David, Academy Award-winning actor Matthew McConaughey was at the White House yesterday to also call on Congress to, quote, reach a higher ground, end quote, and pass gun control legislation in honor of those children and teachers that were killed in Uvalde.
Of course, McConaughey, born and raised in Uvalde, asking Congress to pass gun reforms that can save lives without infringing on the Second Amendment rights. Here's some of what he said yesterday afternoon.
My 10-year-old daughter, Alicia. She was one of the 19 children that were killed the day before. Now, Alicia, her dream was to go to art school in Paris and one day share her art with the world. Ryan and Jessica were eager to share Alicia's art with us and said if we could share it, that somehow, maybe that would make Alicia smile in heaven. They told us that showing someone else Alicia's art would in some way keep her alive.
There he is talking about one of the victims. He had some very impassioned speech, and he actually went into the press room there at the White House and addressed all the national media, which was a pretty smart thing to do because it got a lot of attention, of course.
Yeah.
What people may not realize is McConaughey himself is actually a gun owner, and he specifically called for Congress to bolster background checks. He wants to see the minimum age to buy an AR-15 raised from 18 to 21, and he also had some other things that he thought that both sides might be able to agree on.
Yeah, he said that he's met with some of these key lawmakers that we were talking about on both sides of the aisle, and he spoke about the connections to the town and the victims in Uvalde. He said that his mother was a school teacher there as well, and that's where, of course, he is from. So he had some very impassioned things to say about some of the victims of that school shooting, and I think it's he is obviously a very popular person and a very popular actor, so trying to just kind of use his platform a little bit to try and get some common sense gun laws passed.
Of course, he had toyed around with running for governor here in Texas, but
Right.
I think maybe this is his calling. That he was on a couple of shows last night, a couple of newscasts last night, and saw him a little bit, and I don't think this is going away for him.
Yeah.
I think this is his home because it is his hometown, so I think he's going to stick with this, and I think he's going to try to see this thing all the way through. So in the meantime, there's another interesting story coming out of Uvalde. That app called Ubo.
Never heard of this app,
yeah,
to be quite honest.
It must be something that that a lot of the kids are using, but they are calling on themselves to actually tighten up some of their safety measures, and they want to tighten up some. They want to also add some safety measures as well, because apparently the shooter was using this particular app to communicate.
Yeah, this was one of the details that was released during this investigation, and some of these safety updates include updating the at-risk detection policy and enhancing the protocol for reporting users. So what that investigation kind of revealed was that the shooter here sent some pretty chilling messages right before he carried out that deadly act.
Yeah, he sent them to a young lady in Germany. There's about 15 messages that he sent to this teenage girl in Germany, and she was getting a hold of one of her friends trying to figure out exactly what to do. How do I get a hold of some authorities in the United States to let them know that this is going on? And she even said, you know, she was made fully aware of what was happening when she heard about the shooting in Uvalde. And so those messages that he sent to her are actually part of this investigation. So you can only imagine how she feels knowing that he was sending her these messages. They didn't even know each other. He had no idea who she was, and she had no idea who he was.
Right, and based on that story in the New York Times, she's basically saying that she could have maybe tried to change the outcome had she responded to him, and obviously would have never thought that this would have happened. And so just some very chilling things there. I think that when you look at the social media profile of this individual, he had sent out messages on Instagram. I remember Texas DPS officials talking about that as well. And again, to these random people who probably were just shocked to see this, but at the same time, just would have never thought that this would have happened.
All right, let's move on to Dallas and monkeypox. I know that's something that you've been wanting to talk about all day is monkeypox, because they keep telling
Not
us,
really, but
you know,
I feel we have
you
to.
know, don't really worry about monkeypox.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, I'm starting to worry about monkeypox, because for the first time we've seen a case here in Texas, and it happens to be in Dallas County.
Yeah, that's right. So investigators are checking into a person who traveled internationally here. Now, health officials say they've been in touch with people who had contact with that infected person, again, up the road in Dallas County.
Yeah, we're also told that that person who supposedly is infected is now isolating at home and recovering. The director of the Dallas County Health and Human Services says there is little known risk to the general public. Now, take that for what it's worth, but this thing keeps spreading a little bit. So,
Right.
you know,
And
it's
it was
nasty looking.
Yeah, and it was my understanding that there are treatments for this that are related to smallpox. So there is a national stockpile. But yeah, when you hear about this, a lot of people maybe have not been paying too much attention to this. But now, as it hits a little bit closer to home, I think that it's definitely on everyone's radar now.
They can stay up there in Dallas, that area. Y'all
Just
can
make sure to
we had enough
keep it
problems down
isolated
here with COVID and everything else. We don't
Yeah,
need
after
monkeypox.
after COVID, now we're hearing about this. So hopefully that this is an isolated case and something that health officials up there can keep to that area and make sure that that individual is safe as well.
All right, we're going to go completely to the other end of the spectrum.
This is
some fun stuff.
Switching gears completely. Yes,
you can actually smile and have a good time with this story.
Yeah, so David, the Spurs coyote, we all know him. We all love him. He's one of the most recognizable mascots in the game. And now San Antonio's furriest fan has a permanent place on a new basketball court down south in Mexico.
The NBA commissioned multiple courts to be built and painted with iconic NBA symbols, and the one and only coyote is actually on one of the new court's designs.
Yeah, so not sure you guys have seen this. It was posted on the NBA, basically like their Latin official Twitter account. So the coyote is on the Loteria inspired court with a giant painted card that simply reads El Coyote, and the carts are part.
That's all it gets is El Coyote.
Yeah, the courts are part of the NBA's 75th anniversary celebration. So here's kind of what they look like. I'm going to show you on my laptop real quick. You can see the coyote right there. See him?
Where?
He's right here.
Oh, right. He actually looks like the coyote. Some of these other things that they've got drawn out there, you kind of wonder what they are. But the coyote actually looks like the coyote.
So on this court, they have a different Magic Johnson, which they call La Magia, stands for magic in Spanish, and a bunch of different La Barba, which is James Harden the beard.
Ooh, where's that one? Yeah, that's
right there.
It looks like Santa Claus. That looks like he's got the Santa Claus hat on.
But the coyote, one of only 3 mascots, I think, here that have been memorialized on this court. Yes, it looks like the Miami Heat mascot.
There's the Toronto
Raptors.
and then the Raptor.
And it looks like another mascot I can't even recognize. Kobe Bryant also there as well, the Black Mamba.
Yeah,
As
there
I
you
look
go.
at the
So
card.
the Coyote
Yeah.
looks pretty good. And of course, you know, we went through this just about a month or two ago, where the controversy where the Spurs wanted to play 4 games away from the AT&T Center, had to get permission, and one of them was actually in Mexico.
Yeah.
So we now know that when the Spurs go to Mexico to play their game coming, is the one in Mexico? Is that
Mexico, yeah, I think it is
I think
in
it's in
sometime around
December.
there. Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
At least the floor's going to look good.
There we go. Yeah, we
Got that going for him right there.
got a good-looking court there with the Coyote.
And the
yeah.
Coyote will be right there with him.
Yeah, absolutely,
You know,
definitely.
he didn't have to show up in person. He's got his own little logo right there.
Hopefully no fire
the
this
Coyote
time,
gets
right?
to have
Yeah,
a lot
no
of fun.
fire. Yeah. Oh, you had to bring that up.
Sorry.
The Coyote has a lot of fun. But speaking of fire, we are seeing some blazing hot temperatures here.
Ooh, nice
David.
transition.
Yeah, it's been pretty much
Smoking hot.
unbearable to be outside,
Yeah.
right? The way these temperatures have been. So we got our trivia question for you today.
Okay.
What is the hottest temperature ever recorded in San Antonio since records have been kept? You got 4 choices there. I didn't make it easy.
No.
They're all like right there.
All the
Yeah,
same.
it's like
Yeah.
C.
You know what?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Go big or go home. D, 112. Going nice. I
feel like David cheated on this.
I did not cheat.
Oh, sorry. 109, 110, 111, 112.
I did
Those
not
are your
cheat.
choices. And David's going with 111. He would be correct.
Thank
Triple
you very much.
ones. Triple ones.
You know why I
Very
know
nice,
that?
David.
Why is
Because I
that?
listen to you when you talk during the newscast.
I thought it's
pay
because
attention.
you had lived as long as
You had a
we've
little-
kept records since back to 1885. I didn't know.
Well, I was around
This
in
is a look at
2000.
what yeah, the conversations we had.
Go again.
Good times.
When did they
We
start
were
keeping
all
these
around in
records,
2000.
1885.
Justin? No, I wasn't born yet.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay. Just making sure.
Disappoint you.
Let's look back at the last couple of months. Well, May, we know, was pretty incredible. You see all the records there. Now as we go into June, we're just setting more records. 5th, 6th, 7th, we'll probably set a record today. So in total, 11 record highs in May and June, and we're just going right through June. We're not even into technically summer yet, but these numbers have been just beyond hot. And it looks like we'll keep that trend going into the weekend. There's the scene outside right now. 85 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Dew point is at 68, so it feels like 88 degrees when you factor in that humidity. And cloud cover, well, there's not much of it. We saw some clouds this morning, but any sort of cloud cover at this hour is well east of us. So temperatures are warming up quickly, and we're, again, 85 here in town, 86 Port SA, but I think by probably the noontime, you will see these numbers jump up close to 90, and then probably 100s this afternoon. You take a look at the big picture here. Showers and storms across parts of Oklahoma and North Texas. Looks like there's an outflow boundary dropping south, but it's not really creating any rain, and this probably stays well north of us. So we miss out on the rain yet again. But Oklahoma City getting a ton of rain this morning, and those storms will be moving east and away from us because we have high pressure and control, and that's really steering everything up and around us. And as long as that high pressure is there, as you know, that heat high just keeps everything away from us, and it keeps it hot. As we look at the forecast, this thing wobbles around a little bit, and by next week it moves east, so we get some deeper humidity in here, so not as hot because we're not underneath it, but the humidity counterbalances that, so we'll see temperatures maybe in the upper 90s, but it'll still feel like it's in the 100s because humidity will be higher. That's kind of what we have to look forward to. And the extent for well, all I can say is I'm sorry.
No relief.
No
relief.
4.
Nothing. Yeah, Saturday's probably our hottest day, guys. 104. The record's 104. There's some models that are going like 106.
Whoa.
But I'm trying to be conservative here.
I want to know, how bad is a wobbling heat high? Is that really bad? One that
Well,
wobbles?
no, I mean, you want it to get out of the way. The problem is, as long as it wobbles close enough to us, we need it to like wobble all the way out to like Hawaii or something. But that's not going to happen.
Man.
And we are watching the tropics too. I don't want to get ahead of myself here because there's nothing out there. But something to watch maybe in the Caribbean next couple of weeks if we can get some disturbances in there. There's nothing yet that tells us we're going to see anything at all. But
Man.
there you go.
Well, at least there's no
It's a lot of,
111s on there.
Well,
No, there's none of that.
So we're not gonna,
it's still pretty hot, yeah.
gotta get that record.
We're looking at triple-digit heat here.
That's
Still
a lot
pretty hot. So
That's a lot of
everyone
heat.
who's going to be outside, just stay hydrated, stay cool. I was thinking about the Reagan Rattlers, their baseball team.
Yeah.
So they're practicing for the state tournament final. They are playing on Friday.
They're going to
so
Del
looking at
Diamond.
they're going to be
right?
in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
What time do they play?
7 o'clock.
Yeah,
so
well,
hopefully
that's
you get a
good.
little
Maybe it'll be
cool.
below
Yeah.
100 by 7.
Hopefully.
Man.
Sun will be going
So-
down. Woo. You know, and you know it's worse in the outfield than it is in the infield too.
It's always hot out there.
It's
The
always hot
bleachers,
out there.
yeah, always
you got,
hot.
You got nobody out there with you, nobody
Yeah.
standing there. You're just out there like right field by yourself, like sweating to death.
I feel like you're speaking
Gnats.
from experience.
Gnats flying around, 101 degrees.
My only experience being in the bleachers, bleacher creature out there, just hanging out. But yeah, the sun definitely hits, and yeah,
All right.
well, that's
Thanks,
very
Justin,
hot,
for
yeah.
that wonderful info.
Anytime.
Very
All right.
helpful there.
All right.
Okay, Game 3 of the NBA Finals, David, is tonight. Yeah, this is going to be on KSAT 12. Series tied 1-1, Boston Golden State. Who do you got?
I'm going back with Boston because they're going home.
Boy.
Hey, they got the one. You know,
They did get the one.
They got
Yeah.
one out of Golden State.
Yeah.
So, you know, although Golden State seems to be able to spread their offense out a little bit more. It's not all Steph Curry.
Yeah.
He didn't have to have 60 for them to win.
Yeah,
apparently.
they definitely
So,
have
we'll
some
see.
guys that could fill the basket up. So, yeah, that game again tonight on KSAT 12, Game 3 of the NBA Finals. The night beat will be after that as we continue to follow, obviously, the latest in Capitol Hill and, you know, get more information there from those hearings.
And we will see you back here at noon. Ursula Perry's here, and we'll be on the noon show, KSAT 12.
All right, you guys have a good one.
All right.